Hey Rip for Lifers, welcome to the 7-Minute Workout. Today we're going to take a look at the 3 types of men. So here we go. The first type is the needy man. The needy man seeks approval from others. He craves external attention. He desires validation from members of the opposite sex. Now, a lot of guys don't know that they're needy. Oh, but they're needy all right. So much so that they draw other people into their insecurities without even realizing it. So yeah, it's a pretty crazy thing. The needy man will sometimes fish for compliments until he gets a response. He may even try to heroically impress a girl, win an argument, or show off in some way. Needy men are obsessed with keeping their favorability ratings really high because what other people think of them is of great concern. The characteristics of a needy man that are most prominent are that they tend to be clingy and chatty, and because they have these behaviors, they can smother a relationship to death. I knew of a needy man who went through a breakup with a girl that he really liked. He smothered her to the point that she wanted out. He didn't give her any space. The breakup hurt him so badly, he blew her phone up with text messages, begging her to come back. He took to social media and tried to talk her out of it through mutual friends. He couldn't help his neediness. In the end, she was repelled by it, not attracted. You see, neediness is not a very attractive quality. Well, the good news is this. There's hope for the needy man. So keep listening. Now, one little thing here before we move on. Know that human needs are legitimate, but neediness is something we can all work on. There is a difference. So there you have it, a brief description of the needy man. Let us now shift our attention toward the selfish man. He's the second type. Unlike the needy man, the selfish man doesn't have a ton of cares about what other people think. Selfish men lack empathy and concern for others because they filter everything through the prism of their own ego. The selfish man is all about himself. So, right or wrong, he gets accused of being a jerk. He tends to give for the sole purpose of receiving. For example, he will give love even though it's not genuine love, so he can get sex in return, because that's what he really wants in the first place. He's the type of guy that will hook up, shack up, and break up with different girls, earning the reputation of a heartbreaker. With the selfish man, there's always a catch. There's a hook in everything that he does. He can be totally amazing and brilliantly caring so long as he gets his own way. And when he doesn't, well, he can get pretty angry. What's interesting about the selfish man is that a lot of girls will gravitate to these guys for the sole purpose of staying out of a relationship with a needy man. I'm not exactly sure how all that rationale works, but it's a common complaint. He's a chick magnet and a total jerk at the same time. But at least he's not needy, so he wins favor. And despite his control freak nature, in her mind, that is more desirable than getting stuck with a man who's always seeking approval. I'll let you figure the rest out on your own. One last characteristic here. Unlike the needy man, who is clingy and smothering, the selfish man can be distant, cold, and unaffectionate. He's not exactly a teddy bear unless he wants something. So there you have it. The selfish man. So here's where this discussion finally leads. There's one more type of man, and I would say this type only represents about 5% of the male population. So it's a small minority. They are few in number, but the confident man wins the day. Who is the confident man, and what does that look like? Well, the confident man has a strong sense of self-identity. He's man enough to give people space to be who they are without trying to change them. He's learned that the best way to prepare for a relationship is learning to live without one. His self-esteem is healthy. He can weather the storms of life without losing his mind. And he isn't overly influenced by compliments, and neither is he utterly devastated with criticism. And when it comes to relationship breakups, the confident man isn't broken beyond repair when she wants to move on. Rather than smother her or beg her to come back, he wishes her well and keeps his distance. He keeps his pride in check, and that's one of the confident man's greatest strengths. And strength is what he brings to a relationship, not weakness. And not only that, when it comes to making mistakes, he's humble enough to admit that he's made a few and he's willing to learn from them. So who wants to be a confident man? I know I do, and that's why I made this video and shared it with you. But I have one request. Please do not use this material to label other people. Use it only for your own growth purposes. And if you get something out of it, share this video with your friends, but let them draw their own personal conclusions. Hey fellas, I have a confession to make. I'm a recovering selfish man. I guess you could say I was a little bit of a heartbreaker in my pre-married life, and I had a lot of control issues to overcome. So there's hope for a selfish man. I'm living proof. The truth is, confident men are never born that way. They are former selfish and former needy men that found a better way to be a human being. A growing sense of self-confidence requires an intentional effort, and it just doesn't happen overnight. I mean, you have to work at it. As a recovering selfish man, I can attest to the fact that it takes time. Becoming a better man is a whole process that you have to undergo. So whether you're selfish or you're needy, in whatever extreme, I want you to know there's hope. And the hope that I found was not in trying harder, it was in trusting more. Instead of trusting in my own humanity, I got to know Jesus Christ, the greatest man who ever lived, who also happens to be God. So if I have any confidence at all, it is because of who I follow. You can probably obtain a greater measure of confidence on your own if you're smart enough and clever enough and self-aware, but I'm letting you in on a little secret today. God wants you to be a confident man, and he's willing to help you. That's why we have Jesus Christ. You can be Christ confident when you put your faith in God, and with God, you can achieve higher levels of confidence by having a stronger sense of self-identity as you follow his son, Jesus. That's what I've chosen to do, and I hope that you'll do the same.